Days before the 75th season of the National Basketball Association, new rookies, breakout stars, and many players on different teams. In 2021, only 4 new All-Stars: Jaylen Brown, Zion Williamson, Julius Randle, and Zach LaVine. Many young guys still seeking for their first All-Star selections, while a bunch of all-time greats already double-digit All-Star appearances, and so on. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Still a bunch of uncertainty between a couple stars when they will actually play in the season, guys recovering from injuries who won't play a full season, and of course injured replacements, giving available spots for guys on deck. With that said, here are my preseason predictions of 8 most likely first-time All-Stars for 2022. Starting with De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings, already 4 seasons in, entering year 5. Unfortunate to be put in an awful situation with a dysfunctional franchise. The quietest 25-point scorer of 2021, the soon-to-be 24-year-old proved to be the 3rd best player in his class, still rising outside of Tatum and Mitchell. For a franchise on its way to setting the record for the longest postseason drought of 16 straight seasons, Fox can put that all to an end, but needs a miracle as a leader of his team, needs to flat out dominate, take matters into his own hands. The rise of Tyrese Halliburton makes things easier after finishing 31 and 41 each of the last 2 seasons. Hot seat Luke Walton coaching very questionable. All-star caliber last season is an absolute travesty. Alex Caruso and Jordan Clarkson received more votes than De'Aaron Fox joined the 2021 All-Star voting. A good playmaker, underrated efficiency. Too bad his squad one of the worst defenses in the league with Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield. Considered the savior of the franchise, if Sacramento somehow manages to be over 500 by mid-January, Fox will deserve plenty of credit. A reserve spot seems possible. Gilgeous-Alexander, the 23-year-old, would have gone top 5 in his class, seeing the results and talents 3 years after. Outside of Doncic and Trey, SGA a case for being number 3. Played all by himself last season for the god knows how long rebuilding Thunder. After a 5-year deal worth $172, if OKC continues to lose games, how much patience would the 6'2" guard have in wanting to remain with the franchise? Having averages of nearly 24, 5 and 6, 51% shooting, limited to 35 games with a foot injury, the Canadian won't make the highlight pages like the other young stars under 25, the Zions and Morants of the world with the crazy dunks, but SGA high IQ, strong on both ends. OKC actually 16 and 19 overall with him last season, but an abysmal 6 and 31 without him, indicating his value. Nobody in their wildest imagination have the Thunder anywhere close to making the 2022 playoffs, but if the franchise somewhat near 500 by January, SGA will have a strong all-star case. John Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies, after leading the franchise to the postseason, proving his value, did plenty of damage against the Jazz. The health of teammate Jared Jackson Jr. can determine Morant's all-star status. A strong record makes the case more likely. Entering year 3 after putting up 19 and 7 dimes, looks to average in the mid-20s with a decent team. Nowhere near serious contenders yet. The role options of Dillon Brooks, Jonas Valanciunas, and Kyle Anderson. Morant more than ready for the spotlight, will have insane jams here and there, looking to become the 4th Grizzly player ever to make the All-Star team. In the same situation as SGA and Fox, points per game will absolutely matter in the voters' eyes. The lone exception to that in the entire NBA, Chris Paul, whose presence alone made the Suns contenders. Morant will need to improve on the outside shooting, will have the offense ran through him. If he can have some crazy posters in similar fashions of young Blake Griffin or Raptors Vince Carter's, those type of viral outbreaks will help Morant increase his all-star voting chances, can have a Derrick Rose type breakout year where the former superstar won MVP in his 3rd season. Morant, the former Rookie of the Year, achieved postseason status by year 2, should have made it year 1 if there were no play-in tournaments. After knocking off Steph Curry's Warriors in year 2 to clinch the postseason, the depth of the Western Conference will prove Morant's worth amongst the NBA greats. LaMelo Ball, sky's the limit for the 20-year-old, a stellar rookie season of putting up nearly 16, 6 and 6, unafraid and well prepared for his age, already proven he's better than his 2 oldest brothers. The former 3rd overall pick exceeded all expectations, thus far making his case and solidifying the bragging rights for the best player in his 2020 class. Combined with the size, vision, and passing ability, a 35% 3-point shooter, already very solid for a young guy coming into the league. That's likely higher efficiency from deep than any of Ben Simmons' future seasons. Ball put up around 28 and 8 per 75 possessions year 1, with Kyrie Irving's status uncertain and likely to miss plenty of games. An extra guard position will open up in the East. The Hornets also one of the must-watch teams with insane lane athletes like Miles Bridges, rookie James Bouknight, who balled out preseason, and the enticing Kelly Oubre Jr., balled the main facilitator and playmaker of the team, the most talented player in Charlotte. The team played super well a year ago before Gordon Hayward went down with injury. As long as Ball increases his scoring output and improves defensively, the Hornets should be in the playoff picture. The franchise of the team, Ball doesn't need to score to make a strong impact. Put up 20.7 points in the 15 games started, has the chance to one day become the best player in Charlotte franchise history if Ball stays healthy for the long term. Fred VanVleet of the Toronto Raptors hasn't cooled off since the birth of his son during the 2019 playoffs. Could have been selected as an All-Star a season ago. The definition of defying all the odds, from undrafted to an $84 million contract. Put up almost 20 points, over 6 assists. Could have just been one of those guys who would be done for after his rookie season of averaging 2.9 points in 37 games, but simply put in the work, became a deadly knockdown shooter, to getting minutes down the stretch in playoff games in his second season, to draining bombs in the NBA Finals. Now without Kyle Lowry, VanVleet will be looked upon as the go-to scorer for Toronto down the stretch. Even had a 54-point game with 11 threes. Already achieved some of his goals, the type of player to never settle and strive for more. Also improved on the other end to becoming one of the most pesky on-ball defenders in the league. Learned from the vet Kyle Lowry, dives for loose balls, and nearly 4 deflections a game. If the Raptors get a couple win streak going, VanVleet's name will be too hot to pass up for the voters. Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers, the soon-to-be 29-year-old at the very height of his prime, had some considerations a season ago, but ultimately teammate Sabonis made the team, while Brogdon becoming one of the most underrated floor generals. The most forgotten 50-40-90 guy from 2019 came off a season best 21.2 points, over 5 rebounds, 6 assists, reached double figures 54 of his 56 games played, near automatic from the foul line, backcourt versatility, a better version of a young George Hill, very similar to former floor general Andre Miller in terms of impact and having a weird looking jumper, good handles, nice crossover, not too flashy but effective, not the most talented player, but Brogdon absolutely makes the best of his talents. A true leader with TJ Warren back. If Indy gets off to a good start and in the playoff picture, Brogdon will likely get high considerations, given Kyrie Irving will miss plenty of games and the voters will have a different view of point guard Ben Simmons if he remains in the East. Brogdon's all-star chances increases, not as high as the other guys on this list, but 2022 may very well be his year. DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns, who made a bigger name for himself the 2021 playoffs. The Suns reluctant to give him a max because of their cheapness. There were many concerns whether DA be able to play crunch time playoff minutes, proved many doubters wrong after posting 16 and 12 on 66% shooting. The perfect definition of a good player, knowing his role, capitalizing, being at the right place, right time. When teams play small, Ayton simply punishes them inside, getting easy lobs and finishes, able to hang with MVP Jokic. The defending Western Conference champs will be in contention again. If Phoenix dominates the regular season, by far gets the #1 seed, we can see a similar scenario from last year for Utah having 3 All-Stars in Conley, Mitchell, and Gobert, with Conley named the replacement. Depending on the status of Anthony Davis's health, how Karl Anthony Towns bounce back, what Rudy Gobert's Jazz be like, DA will have the battle amongst those guys for an All-Star spot. Michael Porter Jr., a 5-year deal worth over $143, the 23-year-old proven to be one of the best examples of a low-risk, high-reward guy for a playoff caliber team taking a chance on him after being dropped 14th. MPJ went from the best high school player to injury prone to still likely a top 3 pick given his scoring abilities to being considered very risky due to a multitude of injuries. From 3 games in college to many thinking he's still top 10, to the Knicks taking Kevin Knox and the Clippers taking Jerome Robinson over Porter Jr. Absolute travesties by both teams. MPJ in the same category as SGA and Ayton, one of the favorites for most improved player. Second season coming off averages of 19 points on 54% shooting, lethal from deep, underrated rebounder at 6'10", crashes the glass, already strong chemistry with Jokic. For Denver to remain one of the top teams in the conference, Porter Jr. will need to keep getting buckets Nuggets had an 11-game stretch towards the end of the regular season, averaged 27, already tons of playoff experience, plus the absence of Jamal Murray. Porter Jr. very similar, relied on as the Nuggets Klay Thompson type role, doesn't need to be an elite playmaker with superstar Jokic. MPJ first viewed as an experiment for the rising Nuggets, now might very well be the franchise's number 2 option going forward for years to come. Honorable mentions includes Christian Wood and CJ McCollum. Wood's strong numbers for the Rockets before the injury, while CJ already likely reached his peak at 30, but kind of disappointing last playoffs. The more efficient Porter Jr. played better in the first round series. I'm taking MPJ next season over CJ as the better player and going forward. Thank you so much for watching this video. Which one of these players do you believe will become first-time All-Stars in 2022? Let me know in the comments below. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, current NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.